2 in the morning. My coffee gone cold. My hands trembled reading those words. The United States government, after 89 years of silence, had finally released classified UFO files. I sat in darkness feeling something I hadn't felt since childhood, that electrifying possibility that we are not alone. That night changed everything I thought I knew about reality itself. What happened last month shook the entire world. Governments don't just release classified information without reason. I spent the last 3 weeks, late nights, hundreds of pages, reading through declassified documents, official military incident reports, government internal memos, witness testimonies from trained professionals who have nothing to gain by speaking out. And what I found inside disturbed me, excited me, and completely restructured how I think about our place in this universe. The evidence demands we ask harder questions, but let me take you back. June 1936, Cape Girardeau, Missouri, a small farming community where a local pastor named William Huffman receives an urgent telephone call in the dead of night. He's told to rush immediately to a crash site outside town. When he arrives, he sees something that will haunt him for the rest of his life. Twisted metallic debris scattered across the field. Nothing like any aircraft he'd ever seen before. Nothing conventional. Nothing he could explain. Strange symbols etched deep into the wreckage, deliberate, methodical. And then he saw them. 3 bodies, impossibly small frames, disproportionately large heads, eyes enormous and dark, fixed open, lying motionless in the grass while military personnel descended, frantically cordoning off the scene, voices sharp with urgency. Huffman never forgot what he witnessed that day, not a single detail. He told his family, trusted them with the weight of it. His family kept the secret for decades, passing it down like a burden until now. His granddaughter's testimony sits inside these newly released files. Her account, her corroboration, finally documented. I felt chills reading her words, because here's what struck me hardest. Cape Girardeau happened 11 years before Roswell. We always thought Roswell, 1947, was the beginning of the UFO story. But sitting at my desk late at night, surrounded by printed pages and classified documents, I realized something profound. We've been looking at the wrong starting point entirely. The real story, the actual beginning, started a decade earlier, in 1936. Now I want to be very honest with you here. These files, what you're about to encounter, contain witness testimonies from credible observers, military incident reports with dates and coordinates, government memos stamped and filed away. They are not photographs of living aliens. They are not videos of spacecraft landing on the White House lawn. They are documents, paper and words, physical evidence of something that demands our attention. And we must read them carefully, critically, with both our excitement and our skepticism fully activated, our wonder and our doubt working together. This careful examination, this is the foundation of everything that follows. But here is what made my stomach drop when I truly understood the sheer scale of what was being admitted. The Pentagon's own Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, AUDIP, operated in the shadows from 2007 to 2012. $22 million of taxpayer money, spent quietly, spent secretly, investigating documented UAP encounters with the full institutional resources of the United States Department of Defense. That alone demanded answers. And when Program Director Luis Elizondo resigned, he didn't just walk away quietly. He publicly stated, with considerable certainty, that the evidence strongly suggested non-human intelligence was operating in our skies. Not a conspiracy theorist spinning tales, not someone who saw something blurry in their backyard. The man who actually ran the Pentagon program, saying this openly, on record. I felt something fundamental shift inside me, a question I couldn't unknow. This was the moment. The line was crossed. This wasn't fringe anymore, wasn't relegated to late-night radio shows and conspiracy websites whispered about in dark corners. A former Pentagon official, speaking in his official capacity, was saying it plainly: non-human intelligence might be real. And that single statement, uttered from inside the institution itself, meant the boundary between crazy and credible had fundamentally shifted beneath our feet. Everything had changed. The 2004 USS Nimitz incident is extensively documented in released files. Navy pilots, trained professionals with thousands of flight hours, encountered a tic-tac-shaped object hovering off San Diego. No visible propulsion system, no wings, no exhaust trails. It hung there, completely stationary, defying everything these experienced aviators understood about physics and flight. Then something impossible happened, something that would challenge everything we thought we knew. It accelerated, from hovering completely stationary to hypersonic speeds in what pilots described as an instant, a transition that defied every conventional understanding of physics. Radar operators tracked it dropping from 80,000 feet to 50 feet above sea level in less than a single second. Pilot Commander David Fravor, a decorated aviator with thousands of flight hours and impeccable credentials, described the maneuver with remarkable precision and technical detail. Engineers reviewing his account reached the same unsettling conclusion. The physics he described were simply impossible with any known human technology. That word kept appearing in these documents, again and again and again. Impossible. I found myself underlining it with my red pen, my hand moving almost involuntarily across the pages. Impossible propulsion. Impossible acceleration. Impossible flight characteristics. Over and over. Official military and government documents, written by engineers and pilots and scientists, stating plainly that what they observed violated every fundamental principle of aerospace physics they understood. Every single one. Now I want to talk about something the Indian media has almost completely ignored in their coverage of this story. Embedded within these released files are striking references to incidents across South Asia and the broader Indo-Pacific region. Multiple reports, spanning the 1960s and 1970s, describe unexplained aerial phenomena documented over the Himalayas by military observers from multiple nations. We are not peripheral to this story. This story belongs to all of humanity and demands our attention. The question that kept me pacing around my apartment at midnight was this: why now? Why release these files after 89 years of silence? What fundamentally changed? I found three possibilities most credible. First, the technology gap may have narrowed enough that disclosure is strategically acceptable. Second, China and Russia are actively publicizing their own UAP research, making American secrecy increasingly counterproductive. And third, perhaps the activity itself is accelerating. And then I found the statistic that genuinely unsettled me. The files, classified documents I'd spent weeks analyzing, show documented UAP incidents increasing by 143% between 2019 and 2023. 143%. You cannot explain that away with improved reporting systems alone. Something fundamental is shifting. Either these encounters are happening more frequently, or we're finally becoming less afraid to admit what we're actually seeing out there. I want to tell you what I genuinely believe after everything I've absorbed from weeks of investigation. I believe intelligent life almost certainly exists elsewhere, in a universe containing 2 trillion galaxies. The mathematics of cosmic loneliness feel more absurd to me than the mathematics of cosmic company. But whether these specific objects represent actual extraterrestrial visitors, I hold that conclusion loosely, with open hands, because the honest answer is simply that I don't know. What I know for certain is this: the story that governments told us for decades, that all UFO reports were merely weather balloons, swamp gas, mass hysteria, and confused civilians, that carefully constructed story has officially collapsed. The governments themselves buried that narrative with their own hands, their own admissions. And that collapse matters enormously. When institutions that held such enormous power over information are forced to publicly say, "We were wrong," it fundamentally changes our relationship with those institutions forever. It changes everything. I felt proud of those people reading through these files in the dead of night. The researchers, the pilots who risked their careers and reputations, the retired officials who spoke when staying silent would have been infinitely more comfortable. They kept pulling at this thread for decades, asking, questioning, refusing to accept easy answers. That kind of relentless curiosity, uncomfortable and insistent, is what moves humanity forward. So where do we go from here? U.S. congressional hearings on UAPs are ongoing. NASA has established a dedicated research director for unidentified aerial phenomena. Multiple allied governments are following with their own rigorous disclosure processes. We are living through the beginning of something genuinely consequential. I felt that certainty settle deep into my bones as I closed the last classified document file at 4 in the morning, sunlight beginning to touch my window, and realized there was no going back. I cannot yet tell you if this is extraterrestrial intelligence, secret human technology, or something beyond our concepts. But this I know: look up, ask questions, demand transparency from those who govern your life. Stay curious, uncomfortable, relentless, refusing easy answers, because curiosity is the most human thing about us, and it might connect us to something beyond human entirely. Share this with someone who needs to ask bigger questions.